Hello, hello, hello. My name is Linda Peavy. I'm the owner of Lapov Consulting LLC, and tonight I'm going to be teaching a grant writing webinar that is geared for Black-owned businesses and Black-led nonprofits. So come on into the webinar room. Again, my name is Linda Peavy, and I am in Northeast Ohio, where it is a really nice 56 degrees. I'm not complaining about the weather because normally in Cleveland, there could be a foot of snow on the ground. So as you come in, please say hello to me. Tell me where you are coming in from. Give a shout out to your city and your state. And then we're going to get started because we have so much information that we're going to get through tonight. So as you come in, please say a hello to me and let me know where you're coming in from. Let me know where you're coming in from. Again, I am in Northeast Ohio, right outside of Cleveland. And put into the chat as you come into the room. Hey, Gerald from Detroit, the Motor City is in the house, and so is Natasha. Hey, we got Columbus, Ohio represented. Oh, and Liberty, Mississippi, Veronica is representing. Texas is in the house with Rochelle. Hey, Sharon from Bedford Heights, Ohio. We got Northeast Ohio represented tonight. And top of the evening to you too, Shawanda from Euclid, Ohio. Hey, we got the ATL coming in with LaShonda. Ooh, Columbus is representing ADL. Hey, my city is showing up, Cleveland, Ohio. Hey, Frank, how are you doing? All right, so thank you all so much for coming in. Again, just say hello to me as you come into the webinar. My name is Linda Peavy, and I am the owner of Lapov Consulting LLC. I'm going to be your hostess for this evening, and we are going to talk about how you are going to learn how to write grants and secure the bag as a Black-owned business or a Black-led nonprofit. Anybody who knows me know that this is a no fluff zone. I have so much information to give to you. So you know what? We're off to the races. We are about to get started. And the first thing you're going to see is my 30-second TV commercial, which will just give you a little bit more information about me and what I do. So we're going to start off with a quick video. And we are off to the races, and then we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping, and then we are on a roll.
Hi, I'm Linda Peavy, owner of Lapov Consulting. My passion is to place your organization on the path to excellence. Are you struggling to communicate your message, reach target audiences, or secure funding? From marketing communications to grant writing, we achieve your goals. We've worked with high-profile clients and have secured $17 million in funding for charter schools and nonprofits. Call today to discuss what your success looks like and how Lapov Consulting can help.
All right, that's just a little bit about me. And so now what we're going to do is get started with our presentation, because again, we have a lot to get through tonight, okay? We have a lot to get through. And so we are going to get started. So a little bit more about me. First of all, I want to make sure everybody's in the right place. Grant writing for Black-owned businesses and Black-led nonprofits. This is my last live webinar of the evening. I held one at noon. And before we get started, just so you know, there's always a lot of questions, okay? So whatever you do, I don't want you to go anywhere, because at the end of this presentation, we're going to do an in-depth Q&A. So as I'm moving through, and I do go fast because there's a lot of information to share, don't worry. Everything is being recorded, okay? You are going to get a recording of this entire webinar. So if your little fingers can't write fast enough, don't worry about it. I've got you covered. You're going to get a free, you're going to hear that word a lot tonight, a free replay of this webinar. Okay, so as we go through, be sure that you are placing your questions into the Q&A, because at the end, I have a bonus surprise for you, so I don't want you to go anywhere. And then we're going to do that Q&A. So as we go through, don't be scared. Put those questions into the Q&A. All right, a little bit more about me. They call me the Grants Queen. Why? Because I have secured $17 million in funding and business development, and I have written those applications that you've applied for, those of you who have been involved in grant writing. I also create the scoring template that is used for many organizations. And yes, I do hold workshops all across the country. I'm also a very proud alumnus of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses Program, which is just this phenomenal organization. Goldman Sachs provides this in-depth training for organizations. So if you are interested, whether you're a nonprofit or a small business, you can check out the link. I've also been the executive director of a nonprofit. So for you nonprofits, I've been there too. So let me know who's in the house with me tonight. Are you a for-profit, right? Or are you a nonprofit? Or what I'm finding is that there are many for-profits that are beginning to create nonprofit organizations. So maybe you're both. So let me know in the chat, are you a for-profit or a nonprofit, or maybe you're both? All right. So let me know in the chat who's with me today. All right. So a little bit more about my journey as to how I got to $17 million in grants. I used to be a publishing executive in Pennsylvania, and I got injured and literally came back home to Cleveland in a wheelchair because I couldn't even stand. And it took me 2 years to recuperate. And guess what? After I was well again, I found myself in Cleveland, unable to even find a job with like over 25 years of experience, right? And so I started LaPav Consulting, and this is my 15th year of owning my own business. So I see that, wow, there are a lot of both in the house. So there's a lot of for-profits that have started nonprofits. That's like phenomenal. Some nonprofits, some for-profits, a little bit of both. Well, what you need to know is that this information is going to be germane to you, whether or not you're a for-profit or a nonprofit or both. So I started my consulting company, and one of my first roles was as a contract executive director, right? So I started the job, and immediately I was called into the board of directors office, and I was told that I had to literally write a grant to secure my job, right? I needed to write a grant that would pay for the salary of the executive director. Now, of course, they didn't tell me that in the interview, but wow, it was quite a shock. But you know what? I learned how to write grants. I saved my job and certainly helped to save the organization. And, you know, we're all people here, right? So oftentimes we, right, people that look like us are called in to either save a project or a program or sometimes the whole company. So give me a yes if you have been in that situation and you know exactly what I'm talking about. But you know what? I learned that there is a process to literally writing grants and getting free money. Okay. Writing grants and getting free money, because that's what grants are. Free. And so there's a process. I'm going to teach you that process tonight. Excuse me. So what are we going to learn? Well, someone's saying, yeah, so you know exactly what I mean. Same story. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. We're all family here. Okay. Somebody said the whole company. Okay. You know what I'm talking about. So we're going to cover why this class, 3 keys to funding, grant basics, prepare. How do you prepare to apply? That is important. What to write, how to write. We're going to talk a little bit about bid proposals. How do you get that application notice? And then we're going to talk about grant research, like how do you find these grants that you've heard about? And I literally have a list of grants that you can apply to, so don't go anywhere. And at the end, I have a bonus surprise, right? And then we're going to do that Q&A. So we're off to the races. Why this class? Look, as a nonprofit or even entrepreneur, look, we need help with funding. We always don't want to be told about loans, right? We want the free money. Grants, that's the free money. But there's a lack of qualified professional freelance grant writers to help you, okay? I am a professional grant writer. And this skill, it is a skill, can be costly, right? So for someone at my level, we charge anywhere between $100 to $200 per hour to write a grant. But you know what? You can learn these skills yourself so that you can place your position, your company in a position to win grants, right? And that's what this is about, placing your organization in a position to win grants. You can do this. People are so scared when they hear the word grant, but times are different, right? You don't have to worry about writing this 200-page dissertation. There are grants, especially the for-profit grants, that are literally 2 or 3 pages. Last week, there was a $25,000 grant. They wanted a 500-page essay. I'm sorry, 500 word. Ooh, you don't want to be 500 pages, a 500-word essay. And that was it. So many of these grants are literally 2 to 3 pages. So you don't have to worry about writing for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks at a time. Everything is different now. So why pay a grant writer when guess what? You can tell your own story because nobody's going to tell your story better than you. And here's the secret. You really don't need a professional grant writer. You just need to know what the process is, right? And that's what I'm here to teach you. So we're going to talk about what to write. Like, what are you going to write that really places your organization in a place where you are shining, right? It doesn't matter if you are seasoned or a startup, you can get grant money. And I'm going to show you how do you write that best places your organization in a position that will make it seen above the competition, right? And then it's all about finding that right funder, okay? It's really about making sure that you are matching it with someone that wants to give you money. But again, there's a process. So where are we now when it comes to grants? There's 2 different incidents that completely changed the landscape of grants and philanthropy. One was COVID-19, right? So before COVID-19, it was almost unheard of for a nonprofit and a for-profit to both get funding, right? We knew that certainly when we heard of a grant, nonprofits, right? But for-profits, no. So what happened with COVID-19? Well, so many small businesses went under, right? You probably know somebody that closed. And small businesses, we are really the backbone of this country. And so what happened? Foundations and your major corporations said, we have to do something about this. And so what did they do? They created pools of grant funding, right? Specifically earmarked for not only nonprofits, but now for-profits. That's why as a for-profit organization, yes, there's millions of dollars in grant money available to you, and especially as a Black-owned organization, right? So there was this shift. Now, you may still see some COVID-19 grants out there. If you do, make sure you are talking about how COVID-19 affected you. Did you have to lay off employees, right? Did you have to close? Are you in a recovery phase, right? So we're going to talk about those grants and even more. But that is one of the reasons why now, more so than ever, yes, for-profits can get grant funding. Next, what happened? The George Floyd murder happened, right? And so when George Floyd was murdered, once again, you had foundations and major corporations saying, we have got to do something to address racial injustice in the country. And so once again, you had pools of grant funding being created for Black-owned organizations and minority-owned organizations, right? And you might have heard of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So a lot of the grant money is geared towards any organization, but especially Black-owned organizations that are somehow addressing issues of diversity or even racial injustice or even socially conscious causes. So maybe you're looking at helping the homeless, or maybe you're looking at, providing food and shelter. Maybe you're looking at those who are underemployed, right? As a Black-owned organization, I can tell you that in my 15 years of working in philanthropy and grant writing, I have never, ever, ever seen as much money that is available right now for you as either Black-owned small business or a Black-led nonprofit. And a lot of it had to do with the George Floyd incident. And companies wanted to somehow address this issue. So where are we now? I want to talk about grant basics just a bit. What do you need to know? Grants are not paid back, right? That's the most important thing you need to know. Now, for you nonprofits, and I'm just talking to nonprofits, you need your 501c3. Absolutely, if you're going to apply for grants, right? And so what is the 501c3? That's your tax exempt charitable organization designation. It means you're tax exempt, but also organizations that donate to you, they can write those donations off as tax deductible and charitable deductions, right, on their tax returns. Now, where do you get the 501c3? It has to come from the Internal Revenue Service, right? Now, the good news is it typically before was taking 3 to 6 months to get your 501c3. Now it's taking 6 to 8 weeks. So lucky for you, you're not having to wait months and months and months to get the 501c3. But once again, this is just for you nonprofits. What I don't want you to do, if at all possible, is use a fiscal agent. What is a fiscal agent? That is a nonprofit that already has their 501c3. And so you're utilizing them to receive grant money for you. And that's exactly why organizations really don't want to deal with fiscal agents, because if they're going to give you grant money for your program, they want it to go directly to you and not through a third party. So nonprofits, get your own 501c3, because the overwhelming majority of foundations require that you have your own 501c3. So make sure if you don't have it, you're getting it. Okay. Now, grant bases, where are we? So many people thought, okay, we're in a pandemic, right? There's no money. Nobody's giving money away. Nobody's giving grant money away. But look at this statistic here. This is just from foundation giving. In 2021, it increased, right, to over $90 billion. And guess what? In 2022, when we get those numbers, we will see that it increased further. But look at this number, people. $90 billion. That is a lot of money. Do you need all $90 billion? No, you just need a little bit, right? We just need a little bit of that money. We don't want to be greedy, right? We don't want to be greedy. We just need a little bit. So I want you to put into the chat, I just need a little bit. I just need a little bit. Into the chat, I just need a little bit, right? You're not trying to be greedy. Can you imagine what you would do with just a little bit of $90 billion? I mean, think about this. How would you be able to fund your nonprofit or your for-profit business with just a little bit, right, of the $90 billion? So I want to see it in the chat. Just a little bit, right? You just need a little bit of the 90. That's what I'm talking about, Yolanda. We're not trying to be greedy, right? Sherry, Siobhan, we just need a little bit, Leslie. There's no way we're trying to get the whole $90 billion. All we need is a little bit, right, to fund our organization. And I'm here to show you how to get just a little bit of it, right? So next, we're going to talk about how do you prepare, right, to write grants. And this is a mistake too many organizations make, right? They see that grant application, they download it, they fill it out, and then they get the rejection letter and they wonder why. You have to prepare to write grants. Now, what I want you to do is just hone up a little bit on your writing skills. We know there's 5 basic writing skills. We're going to just ignore 1 through 4 and talk about 5. Editing and rewriting, because what I don't want you to do is submit an application that is full of grammatical errors, right? I'm a professional editor and I'm a professional writer, and I use Grammarly. It is remarkable. So if you use Grammarly, put it into the chat. It is amazing, right? It is an editing software tool. It will help you be a better writer. But guess what? They have this article. I'm going to drop that into the chat. Thank you so much, Malone. He is my assistant this evening. Improve writing skills dramatically by doing these 15 things. I want you to download this after the webinar. This is your homework. Look, I'm going to be giving you tea all afternoon or evening, right? This is your first homework. Download this, right? Who uses? Yes. Is it Shem? Yes, absolutely. Look, Grammarly is amazing. Pierre says it is the best. Is it not like amazing? It will help you to become a better writer, right? Because it's a software editing tool. So make sure you download this particular article by Grammarly. All right. So how else do you prepare? You got to get your documents in order, right? You need your employer identification number. If you are a nonprofit, you need your 501c3. Okay. No fiscal agent, people. And if you are a for-profit, especially, you need to make sure that you are in good standing to even do business in your state. And something that I've discovered is that every state is different. Some states do not even require you to have a business license, right? Others do. I'm in Ohio. You have to have a business license to do business in the state of Ohio. Well, I was teaching this webinar not too long ago, and a young lady said, this is like on point, because she was applying for a grant and the competition was stiff, and she was the only applicant that actually had their business license, right, in their state certification in her state. So just make sure, especially as a for-profit, you go to your Secretary of State's website, okay? Your Secretary of State's website after we're done. And if you are for-profit, make sure that you have that business license, right? So that you know you are able to do business in your state. What else do you need? You need your list of board members, your staff, and then your letters of support are so important because it will really tell that founder and that foundation leader or whatever the funder is that you have support in your community. Now, this could come from maybe you have vendors, right? Maybe it's your church, your pastor, community leaders, right? And what this is saying is that you have support. There are people in your community that believe in what you're doing and believe in the fact that you need grant funding to help move forward with your organization, right? So gather those letters before you start writing. Also, it may be required that you have an audited financial statement. It all depends on the grant application, but if you do, you will need to have your CPA create that for you. Next, we have the operating budget. Now, for you startups, you need to know that, yes, you need an operating budget. This is important because you need to know how much is all of this going to cost in order to open up a nonprofit or your for-profit. How much money are you going to need? So when you create that operating budget, you can see the gaps in that budget, right? So maybe you have money to pay your employees, or maybe you have money to pay the lease, and you look at that budget and you say, well, I didn't think about advertising. So I need money for advertising. So you can apply for a grant for advertising, right? It will help you see the gaps in that budget so that you will know where you need additional money. And that will help you determine what you're going to ask for in terms of the grant funding, how much, and then where you're going to place the money. Okay. Well, I take a little sip. Next, your list of other funding sources. So you need to put in that grant application, who else are supporting you, right? Maybe it's another foundation, you're getting other grant money. Maybe it is in-kind donations, right? Maybe you're getting sponsorships. Other funders want to know that somebody else is supporting you besides them because they never want to be the only one. Why? Because grants are not guaranteed. So if they give you money in year one, you might not get that money in year two, and they don't want to shoulder the responsibility that in year two, if they can't afford to give you more money, you're going to close your doors. Like, they don't want to shoulder that responsibility, right? So if you have any other funding sources, be sure that you place them in the application. Don't worry about rewriting because I have to move through. You'll get a full replay. Everybody, don't worry, you will get a replay, okay? So now we're talking about what to write to get funding, right? These are your typical components of an average grant application. We're going to go through them quickly and then go through each one directly. Your summary, mission, history, leadership, description of your organization, right? Your statement of need, which is your target market, description of your program or your project, community partnerships. Now we're talking about results, right? Your outputs, outcomes, impact, your staff. Now this leadership means your board, right? Because your board is considered part of your leadership, your budget, and then sustainability. Now, one at a time, summary. What do you need to know about the summary? You're going to see it first on the application, but don't be fooled. You always, always, always write it last, okay? Because it is going to include the most compelling components of that application. Why? Because it's the first thing that they're going to see, right? This is what is going to tell the funder about your organization. So even though it is the first part of the application, you always write it last because you're going to take those most compelling components, right? And you're going to put that into your summary. So don't be fooled. It comes first. Always write it last. Okay. Next, mission vision, right? So all of you really should have a mission statement, but do you have a vision statement? What is the difference? Well, the vision is what you would like to have happen in your organization in the future, right? If you are implementing and achieving your mission, right? So this is more homework. Make sure if you don't have a vision statement, you create a vision statement because you're going to need it for the application. Okay. And the mission, right? Why is it important? Because your mission is going to help you find your perfect funder, because you have to align your mission with the mission of the funder. If you're into K-12 education and that's your project, well, you're not going to seek a funder that is focused on the homeless, right? So you have to make sure that your mission is aligned, right, to the mission of the funder that you're seeking money from. Next, history. Now, this is important because most people think if they're new, they don't have a history. It's not true, right? I always talk about the former principal who wants to start a tutoring organization, right? And so she might think, well, I'm just getting off the ground. I don't have any history, but guess what? She was a principal at a high school for 20 years, right? And she's starting a tutoring organization that is going to be focused on grades 9 through 12. And that's where she was a principal. So oftentimes, think about what was the impetus for you starting your organization. And for that principal, she saw, right, that the students were underperforming in math and reading. And so once she retired, she started this tutoring organization so that she could help increase their proficiency levels. So the impetus was her knowing that when she was a principal, the students were underperforming. So don't think that because you're new, you don't have a history. We're talking about really, how do you make your application shine? And so many organizations skip over this if they're new. Talk about the impetus for you starting, right? The leadership, that's simply your executive. It could be your executive CEO, your executive director, your COO, and your board, right? Because your board of directors, they're also considered a part of your leadership. So that's important, right? What are you doing now? You're describing your organization. Now, those of you who are seasoned, talk about your success rate, your success factors. Use that data. Use those stats to show, yes, you've been successful. You've made impact, right? And what has been your track record in working with whatever your target population is, right? And you only know what that is. We're going to talk about target population in a minute. But again, what has your experience been with the subject matter, right? Bring your experience into that grant application so people know and they can read about the heart and the soul of who you are and what you're bringing to that organization. Next, we have the statement of need. And that is, what is the problem? And let me tell you, there is always a problem. This is so important, right? This is going to set you aside from a lot of the other applications. You should always be addressing an issue. I don't care what your organization is. If you're service oriented, if you have a product, you should be addressing an issue, right? It doesn't matter what you do, right? Let's take a bakery, right? They're making cakes and cookies, right? And cupcakes. And you might be thinking, well, what problem are they solving, right, with baked goods? Well, maybe it's a vegan bakery, right? And maybe they're solving the problem that there's not a lot of vegan bakeries, or maybe they're a regular bakery and they want to locate in a community in a downtown area where they're serving the businesses. And maybe in that community, there has not been any other successful bakeries, right? So maybe they're literally adding to the economic development of that community because they are deciding to locate in that area, right? So that's one issue that they're resolving. Or maybe they want to serve businesses so that they can help businesses be able to showcase and be impressive to their customers by providing these fabulous baked goods. So whatever you're doing, think about how you are addressing an issue, because how you're addressing an issue is going to lead you to your perfect funder, right? Because whatever you're doing, right, you want to match it to your funder's areas of interest. So if it's education, right, that tutoring, you want to make sure that education is of interest to the funder. Well, how do you find out this information, right? How do you find out your funder's areas of interest, right? If you get a list of information, well, 90% of foundations don't have a website. I'm going to say that again. 90% of foundations do not have a website. So how do you get this information? All right, this is more tea. The 990 form. Don't sleep on the 990 form. It is a gold mine. What is it? That is the tax document that foundations have to submit, right? It is a gold mine. On that 990, you're going to get information about the executive team, right, of that foundation. But if you scroll to the back of the 990, you're going to get a list of other organizations that they have donated to, right? So if you have like an equestrian program where you're using horses to heal veterans, you're going to scan that document to see, well, is there any other similar organizations that they funded? And if there are, that may be a really good match for you to pursue. All right, so don't sleep on the $9.90. How do you get $9.90s, right? You could pay. So many of these websites charge for you to have access to $9.90s, but here's that word again, free, free, free. Go to this website, projects.propublica.org/nonprofits. You go to this website and guess what? Free access to $9.90s. Any $9.90 that has been filed by any organization, you have access to that entire $9.90 for free. Okay, that you can download it and again, look at the back to see if you have a match there. So $9.90s, gold mines. Okay, so next, target population. And here's one big issue that I hear. People tell me all the time, well, I just want to help everybody. You can't help everybody, right? You cannot help everybody. You have to think about who is best. Think about this. Who is best served by your program or your project or your service? You can't help everybody, right? This is how you hone in on finding who wants to fund you, because they're going to share your passion, that foundation, right? And it can't be everybody. So look at the demographics. Like maybe your project is geared towards women. It's gender-based. Maybe it's based on ethnicity and it's geared for an African-American audience. Maybe it's based on income, right? And you are serving those that live below the federal poverty line. Maybe you have a project that's geared towards senior citizens, right? So it's age-based. Or maybe it's geography. Maybe you're just really looking at your local area, or maybe it's regional. Either way, the census fast facts, free. Don't sleep on census.gov because they have the data that you need, right? Let's say you're a daycare center. I hear from so many daycare centers, right? Well, you can go to the census and find out how many kids live in that community that are under the age of 5, right? So utilize census.gov. It is a wealth of information and it is free. There's that word again, free. This is really about how you tell your story, because at the end of the day, you are selling your organization to that foundation. But what I don't want you to ever do is make yourself or your organization the hero of your grant application. No, you're not the hero. Those whom you serve, right? That's your target population. Those are the heroes, because that is where the transformation takes place, right? Not you, but who you're serving. Let's take those students, right? They get the tutoring program. They were failing in math and reading. And let's say now they're reading at great proficiency levels. They can graduate from high school. They can go into college or take a trade or go to the armed services. That's where the transformation takes place. If you're helping the homeless, that homeless person now has shelter. Maybe they can get a job. Maybe they can go back to school. The transformation takes place in your target population, right? So you want to remain focused on them when you're writing this grant. And then always think about how you are addressing a problem. Okay. Again, who's telling your story the best? So those of you who have written applications in the past, did you tell your story the best? Did you talk about how you've changed lives? And look, it doesn't have to be deep. We're talking about the restaurant, the bakery, right? Literally, she could show how maybe she's changing her community by her very presence there. And also, you always want to appeal to emotions. You want to give real examples, real testimonials, real case studies. And this doesn't have to be complicated. Literally, you can have your customer, that bakery, take their cell phone. I'm an Android girl, but those of you who have those little iPhones, you can have them talk into that phone, literally a minute, talking about how it is the best cupcake they've ever tasted in their life. And guess what? You put that video on the homepage of your website. And speaking of websites, I've been doing this for a long time. Do not believe people who tell you you don't need a website, because I know for a fact, because I've seen it too many times. Foundations, one of the first places they go to is what? Your website. Okay. So please, it doesn't have to be costly. I have a phenomenal website designer. She's literally done website development and design. Those are two different skill sets too. She does it both. She's been doing it for over 25 years, right? So if you just happen to need a website, put in your email address and I would be happy to refer you to her because she's phenomenal. And it doesn't have to be costly. I mean, I hear from people saying companies want to charge them like thousands and thousands of dollars. No, it doesn't have to be costly, right? Because it can be simplistic. You don't have to spend all of your money on website development, but make sure if you have a website, those videos should be on the home page. Okay. Now, you have a decision to make. Are you going to be asking for operating or program project dollars? What's the difference? Operating dollars means when you get the grant money, you decide where to apply it. Okay, it could be IT, a lease, personnel, you decide, or you could be applying for money that's for a specific project. Let's take that restaurant, right? She wants to start a delivery service. So she's focused on funds just to help fund that delivery service. Now, what you need to know, and this is where, again, many people fail. They think they can only apply to one foundation per program. No, no, no. You should always be applying to multiple foundations, even for the same project, right? Because grants are not guaranteed. And guess what? Let's say you get the money. Let's say you apply to Foundation A for $20,000 for 1099 contractors, and you apply to Foundation B for $20,000 for 1099 contractors. And let's say you get them both. You get all the money. You get $40,000. Well, what you're not going to do is give the money back. We don't give back grant money. No. What you're going to do is then maybe increase the number of hours, right, for that person, or maybe now you can hire 2 people. You should always be applying to multiple foundations, even for the same ask, even for the same needs, right? You never just apply to one foundation. And when you're deciding whether it's operating or program project, just really look at like, where are your greatest needs, okay? Now, describing your project or your service, absolutely, especially if you're a little seasoned. Talk about why you've been successful. And also, if it's something new, if you're trying to use a new concept, you need to research it to make sure it's going to be successful in your particular scenario. You know, I think about the tutor, right? The tutoring organization, she's going to use project-based learning to help tutor those 9th through 12th grade students. Well, she needs to make sure that project-based learning has been proven to be successful when tutoring like urban high school students. So sometimes you have to do that research, but at the end of the day, talk about how you are solving a problem and just make sure you have a really realistic timeline. Now, community partnerships are absolutely critical. Too many for-profits think, okay, I don't want to have to give up any of my funds or share any of my revenue. What you need to know is that community partnerships don't have to involve financial sharing at all. Okay. But this is important because you're going to get these questions about collaboration and who are you working with in the community. Doesn't matter that you're a for-profit. You're going to get these questions, right? Other organizations can be utilized as partners, right? It could maybe be your third-party vendor that you could list as a community partner, right? I was thinking about a grant that I wrote many years ago. I was writing a grant for a 3rd grade urban class, right? 3rd grade Black students. They were going to be taught the violin, right? And so we were going to work with the Cleveland Orchestra, like clearly like one of the best orchestras in the world. And they were coming in after school to teach these 3rd graders the violin. So if you can imagine how great that looks on a grant application, this small urban school is working with the world-renowned Cleveland Orchestra. So think about ways that you can partner with other organizations, from the Urban League to, you know, the Boys and Girls Club, right? And think about that bakery again. She's going to partner with an event planner in the community, right? There's no exchange of money. She's going to make sure there's flyers about the event planning service in her bakery, and the event planner is going to be using the bakery services, right? But also referring customers to the bakery. So there's all kinds of ways in which you can collaborate. All right, so next we're talking about outputs, outcomes, and impact, and forecasting. I don't want you to be scared of the word forecasting, because all you're doing is writing about your future results, like what you think your future results are going to be based on you getting the money. Now, some grant applications ask for all 3, some ask for 1, so we're going to do all 3. What are outputs? Immediate results. Excuse me. I get the money. this is what is going to happen, right? Your outcomes, they come about maybe 6 months to a year down the road. So those are the activities that will happen as a result of your outputs, of your immediate results. Impact occurs typically maybe a year or 2 years down the road, but they happen as a result of outcomes that happens as a result of outputs. I'll give you an example. A daycare center said, I need $20,000. Now she's writing this in the grant application. If you give me $20,000, we're going to be able to open, serve 100 families and 250 children in this great community that I researched to make sure this was the location. You give me the 20 grand, I'm going to open. And guess what? In 6 months, we're going to grow our daycare capacity by 40% and add 24/7 services because we found the best location. Now, because we grew by 40% and we added 24/7 services, our impact 1 to 2 years down the road, this is what it's going to be. 25% of families will experience less stress. Why? Because they can drop their kids off 24/7. Wouldn't you experience less stress if you could drop your kids off at any time? 65% of children demonstrated improved behavior. Why? Because we have this great educational program. And 1 to 2 years down the road, we're going to expand the 2 locations. So you're just writing in that application what you expect to have happen in the future if you get the money. Next, goals, SMART goals. And I know many of you have heard about SMART goals. What are they? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. You're going to need to write SMART goals, right? Not just goals. And this is how you convert like a regular goal to a SMART goal. All right. Goal. I want to reduce the poverty rate in Cleveland. Well, that is really a huge, massive goal, right? That's not what you want to put in the grant. How do we change it to a SMART goal? I want to reduce the poverty rate by 5% in Cleveland for Hispanic children under the age of 5 within a 5-year time frame. What did I do? How did I change it from a goal to a SMART goal? I added data and stats. And that's what you have to do. Add data and stats because they're measurable, right? Next, assessment tools. How do you determine whether or not your program is working? I love using surveys, right? I like SurveyMonkey. I like Jot Forms. So the restaurant, right, can provide surveys to the customers to find out whether or not that delivery service is working. The principal can utilize the assessment data and reading and math of those students before and after the tutoring to determine whether or not it was successful, right? So you have to think about ways in which you can prove that your particular service or product is successful. Yes, Shem, SMART goals. She loves it. Excellent. Next, you're going to talk about who's leading your program or your company, and it could be you, right? But if you're a for-profit, it's probably been years since you updated that bio or that resume. Well, this is more homework because you're going to need an updated bio and an updated resume. At the end of the day, this is about oversight. Either you're putting yourself in charge or the people that you put in charge need to make sure that they're qualified. That's why the funders need those bios and those resumes, because at the end of the day, they're giving you their money and they want accountability. Now, the budget. What do you need to know? You must include itemized expenses, right? So if you're asking for $50,000 for an executive director, you want to not just put, I need 50 grand for executive director and leave it there. No, no, no. You need to show, is that $50,000 every 6 months? Is it a contracted ED or is it a W-2 employee? If so, you need to include the budget information that would definitely include like benefits, right, and other expenses. You need to be specific, right? Program personnel. Is it 1099 workers? And if so, how many hours are they working? And for how long? Is it a month, 6 months? Make sure your costs are reasonable. And so as you're explaining how you're using the money, that is what goes into the budget narrative. So the figures, the numbers go into the budget. The explanation for the numbers go into the budget narrative. Now, this is a fun one, sustainability, because we know that just because you get a grant in year 1 does not mean that you're going to get a grant in year 2. So you are going to have to address this in your grant application, okay? You're going to have to talk about in year 2, If I don't get that grant money, how am I going to sustain my program? Because remember I said at the beginning that foundations, they don't want to give you money in year one, knowing that they may not be able to give you that money in year two, and you're going to close because you don't get the grant money. So you literally have to write in an application. If I don't get the money in year two, what am I going to do? How am I going to sustain my program? And I want you to think about that high school. They got the $20,000, right? For year one. They have to write in an application what they're going to do in year two if they don't get the money to sustain the tutoring program. I want you to put into the chat. Think about a high school. Put into the chat. How could a high school write into an application how they're going to come up with $20,000, right, in year two? So into the chat, I want you to think about it. This is a high school. How would they be able to write in a grant application? I'm going to be able to come up with $20,000 in year two. Yes, it's fundraising. Exactly. Fundraising, right? They could put on a talent show or have a musical or sell merchandise, right? Maybe they have a bake sale. Maybe they have a car wash, right? It's fundraising. So you have to come up with really creative ways in which you write into that application. Okay, even if I don't get the grant money in year two, we're good because we have this plan where we are going to make sure that we can get the money to pay for whatever the expense says. Yes, bake sales and sponsorships too. So really quickly, 1 second I want to spend on this, or maybe a couple of seconds. Those of you, especially the for-profits, if you are bidding on contracts, what I don't want you to fall into is the trap that if you think you're going to just put in the lowest bid, you're going to get the proposal, you're going to get the contract. It doesn't work that way. Too often this happens, but you need to know that if I am a contractor and I release a bid proposal to build a fence, I have some idea what that fence is going to cost. So if I know it should cost about $1 million and you send me a bid for $50,000, I know you're not qualified. I know you're not ready, right? I know you don't have the capacity, and I know you're probably using crazy cheap materials, right? I want you to focus on what is going to set you aside and apart from anybody else. Maybe your company has built 1,000 fences, right? Maybe you can say that, look, we have never missed a deadline and we have qualified staff. Think about ways in which you can go above and beyond other than listing the lowest price. All right. Excuse me. This is really about what do you need to do before you write a single syllable in that grant application that's going to make a difference. And what you need to do is shift your mindset to a position of winning. Because if you go into this idea of grant writing thinking, oh my gosh, no, I can't do it. I'm going to have to write this 500-page dissertation and I can't do it. I can't do it. You won't do it, and you won't get any grant money because you don't get grant money unless you submit a grant application. And what you need to know is that the world of grant writing is different now. You don't have to write that 100-page dissertation. Literally, I saw $2 million grants, 2 government $1 million grants a couple of months ago. They wanted 15 double-space pages. That's 7 single-space pages approximately. Those are for $1 million grants. So many of the for-profit grants, literally 2 to 3 pages. So don't be scared. You can do this, right? Because you're writing about your passion. And yes, it'll take a little bit of work, but it's worth it because can you imagine getting free grant money to open up your business, to finally operate successfully and not bootstrapping and not having to borrow money from your family and friends? And maybe you want to expand operations, right? Now, if you take nothing else away from this webinar, listen to these instructions carefully. Meet with the funder first. Please, if at all possible. I've sat in meetings, literally, where I've heard foundations directors say, look, if he hasn't contacted me, hasn't called me, hasn't emailed me, hasn't tried to meet me, that application is probably going to the trash. Now, that's not with every organization. Some organizations don't want to meet with you. They say, look, download the application, complete it, and send it off. But if you have any opportunity to meet with the funder, please do so, because that meeting is critical. I've been in too many meetings where it made the difference, because in that meeting, you're going to be able to share information about your nonprofit or your for-profit that will never be listed on the webinar or on the website, right? And the foundation is going to give you information about that grant that is not on their website. Okay. And it's that information that's going to make a difference. And literally, I've been in meetings. I set up a meeting. This was last month with a client, and the foundation had never heard of them before. Never have they heard of them before. Set up the meeting. Those missions aligned, right? After a 30-minute Zoom meeting, they walked away with $30,000. The month before, another client met with the funder, got a $5,000 grant on the spot, and then got a guarantee of $10,000 a year for the next 3 years, right? You have to meet with the funder first. This is critical, okay? Now, next, deadline driven, time management, people. If the deadline is 4:59 p.m. and you submit that application at 5 o'clock, you're going to have a bad day, okay? Because it's not going to be accepted, right? So make sure you adhere to time management, okay? Next, address every single question. Don't leave questions blank unless you are able to do that and the instructions tell you to, because if it's a question that doesn't pertain to you, put NA, because if you leave it blank, especially if it's an online portal grant application, it may be rejected because they think it's an incomplete application. So just put NA if it doesn't pertain to you, and definitely get that application reviewed. These are some don'ts. Look, I love a good template. But please don't think that you're going to take one grant application and copy and paste everything and put it into 20 applications. Somebody literally thought they could do that. No, every question needs to be addressed individually. And whatever you do, when you're meeting with a funder for the first time, never ask for too much money. Now, most grants, they give you the amount, right? 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. But community foundations, oftentimes they won't tell you how much you should ask for. They're not going to give you that information. So you have to go in not asking for $100,000 because you're not going to get it, because they don't know if you're fiscally responsible, right? The first time you approach that funder, ask for between $5,000 and $25,000, okay? That's it. And whatever you do, don't forget to edit. We love Grammarly. Now, I told you how important that meeting was with the funder. How do you get that meeting? You create a letter of introduction. You talk about your organization. You describe your need. You align those mission statements. You never ask for money in this letter because that's not the purpose. You're trying to get a meeting with that organization. Now, you can research and find out who you need to send information to, send the email to, right? You can use that 990, but how do you get the right email address? People, I've been giving you tea all evening. I'm telling you, this is the teapot. This is the teapot. What you don't want to do is send that letter to like info@abcfoundation.org. It's going to go into the hemisphere and not come back. Okay. You want an email address, right, of the correct person. How do you get an email address? This is it. Getemail.io. It is the best thing since sliced bread. I use it every week. I find the email addresses of anybody. This program will give you the email address of just about anybody around the world who works for an organization. I get emails all the time with people in Italy, Germany, whomever I'm working with, right? It is phenomenal. And it is free for like maybe the first 10 to 15 emails. And then, yes, they charge you. I think it's about $60 a month. For me, it's worth it. But if you don't have the money, use your 10 to 15 free emails and use them well. Okay, so I want to make sure that is dropped into the chat. Thank you so much, Bart. Now, how do you find the grants that you've heard are available? These are your major grant portals where you go in and you get grant information, right? Foundation Directory Online, that's the leading source of information. Now, they're going to give you the names of the funders, okay? And it's about $50 a month. Instrumental.com, they're more pricey. They're about $200 a month. They give you the name of the funder. They give you the open grant information. They give you the 990, but they're pricey at $200 a month. Grants.gov, you know that's the single source of federal grants for those faith-based organizations with me. The Lilly Foundation is the largest funder of religious organizations. You have educational funds, Grant Gopher, that's free. Lilly is free. Grants.gov is free. I love grantwatch.com because they have all these last minute grants and they give you information about the open grant application and the funder. And they give you all the links you need for more information. And they're about $20 a week. I love Grant Station because they have so many grants for profit organizations. Now, we're all minority owned organizations. You need to know about urbanawarenessusa.org. They're Black owned and they will help you. And it's free to just get their newsletter. They do have some services that are paid, but you need to know about all of these services, right? And what do? I'm going to just click right over to the front page of Grant Station because all of the information on the prior slide is listed down here. This is what you do to get the grant information, right? This happens again to be Grant Station. Now they're about $200 a year, but I know they had a special where it was free for nonprofits. So you can find out whether or not it's still free for nonprofits. You put in information, right? You put in what are you? Are you a business, nonprofit, individual, local or national? I always say if you can get local grants first, it doesn't mean that you can apply to local and national grants simultaneously. You should, but I really want you to focus on those local grants. So you decide whether or not you want to fund this in your area or maybe nationwide, right? What kind of grant do you want? Federal, foundations? Who is that target population? Are you helping the homeless, the disabled? And then what is your area of interest? Is it business? Is it faith-based, right? You put in all of that data and you literally push a button and Grant Station will literally give you a list of available grants, okay? Now, I told you I would give you some grant opportunities for Black-owned organizations or Black-led nonprofits. The U.S. Black Chambers of Commerce, they have worked with American Express to come up with We Back Black Businesses, and that is a grant. So we know the DOT, Department of Transportation, they have an entire program that's geared for disadvantaged businesses. Facebook has a Black Creators Grant. National Association for the Self-Employed, they have a grant. The Minority Business Development Agency, FedEx has a small business grant. The SBIR, that's a federal grant. Northwestern Mutual Black Founders Accelerator. Now, many of you may think, well, you know what? I don't have employees. I don't have like 1099 contractors. I don't have W-2 employees. I don't have anybody but a few people. Well, guess what? Even if you have an all volunteer nonprofit, you can still get grant money. Okay. Don't think that you have to be big to get grant money. Amarillo, and I think they're based out of Texas, they specialize in giving grants to small or all volunteer organizations, okay? Your faith-based, Mustard Seed Foundation, all they do is give grants to faith-based organizations. If you are in design, Harlem Capital is for you. Now, the Lilly Foundation provided $23 million a couple of years ago to give grants solely to Black churches and HBCUs. So there was a young lady in my noon webinar, and she was working with HBCUs, and I told her definitely, please apply to that grant. GiveButter.com, what are they? They are Black philanthropists, and all they do is support Black organizations, right? Barclays Bank, they have a small business grant. Now, let's say you're a startup, right? You may not think, oh, there's no grants for me. I'm just starting up. No, that's not true. There are grants that are specifically for startups, like Ensile, and then Sky's the limit. Don't worry, you're going to get a replay. Now, I know that I have a ton of women on the call with me. And what are you going to get? HelloAlice.com. Please sign up because that is the largest portal for grants for specifically women-owned businesses. Now, I call them the credit card grants. MasterCard and Visa, they both have programs just for Black women, okay? Kickstarter has a program. Are you a Black woman-led nonprofit? Goldman Sachs, 1 million Black women. They have a program that is phenomenal. Cartier, the jewelry company, they have awards. Amber Grants for Women, they give away $10,000 every single month. Now, let's say you have a program that's in health and wellness or fitness, Women's Sports Foundation. Okay, now we're getting to the end. Do not go anywhere. I want you to put into the chat, okay? What do you think about when you hear about banks and money? Banks and money. Put it to the chat. What comes to your mind when you hear banks and money? Really quickly, into the chat. What do you think when you think about banks and money? Yes, Loans, right? Credit risk, bad credit, high interest, loans. Do you know that banks are some of the largest providers of grants, not loans, grants, free money grants in the country? Okay, you've probably been going to the wrong person. You don't want to go to your loan officer or your branch manager. They're going to try to sell you a loan. Okay, you need to make sure that that bank has like a really good footprint in your area. And you're going to seek out the vice president. Usually their titles are like maybe VP of Community Reinvestment or VP of Economic Development. Find that vice president in a bank that has a great footprint in your area and ask for grants, right? Not loans, grants. Banks give away millions and millions and millions of dollars, maybe even billions of dollars every year in grant money. All right, so don't go anywhere. I'm going to do the Q&A in just a couple of minutes, but first, I said to you that I wanted to help people, right? This is what I want to do. And I realized that helping people write one grant at a time was not helping enough people. And now, knowing that there is so much grant money out here, especially for Black organizations, I wanted to help even more. So you know what I did? I took literally my 15 years of writing grants and I created a simple, easy grant writing course, okay? Which includes me as your personal coach, okay? Because I wanted this step-by-step path to funding for you, right? I want you to be impactful and fulfill your mission. Like I can feel your passion through this screen, okay? I want you to be able to get $20,000 and $30,000 and $50,000 worth of free grant money, because at the end of the day, people that look like you and me, we're getting this money every single day, every day. So like, why not you? I can tell you that this course will cut 50% off of the time it takes for you to research and write grants. I get so many questions. Is there a grant for fill in the blanks? Well, you will never have to ask that again because you will be able to find out whether or not there's a grant for you. And I can almost assure you that there is a grant for almost anything. Okay, it is about finding that organization that is willing to fund you. And what I don't want you to do, and please hear me out, please, this is important, right? I do not want you doing this alone. I want you to find funding, find grant funding in a community of support, because I cannot tell you, and I'm serious about this, how many stories I hear. This is my pet peeve. How many stories I hear every single day about people being scammed, right? Somebody telling you, give me $50, I'll write 3 grants. Okay. If somebody tells you that, you need to run in the opposite direction. Please do this in a community of support with people who look like you and me, with me as your coach, as the head, because I'm going to make sure that you stay on the right path. And I'm going to answer questions that you have to make sure that people are not scamming you, because I'm going to give you the best research techniques in this course, right? You're going to be able to find funders who literally are looking to give people who look like you money. And of course, I teach you how to write every part of the narrative, because every single grant example that is in this course, I wrote, and it won money. I told you before, nobody's going to tell your story like you. You can do this. You can write grants, right? You don't have to be a professional grant writer. You can do this with my help. Okay, so what do you get? You're getting 12 modules, 35 lessons. And look, I know people learn differently, so I start with videos. And then after the video, I give you the lesson. And it's not hard, because you are writing about things you love, your passion. And yes, you get a total workbook, a complete workbook. And I have these fun, silly quizzes, right? And like I said, I'm going to give you real grant examples. Every grant example is from a grant that I wrote, and again, that won money. So if I'm asking you, write the history of your organization, I'm going to give you an example of how I wrote the history of an organization and a winning grant that won money. And I'm doing something nobody else is doing, literally. Once you get into this course, right, I literally give you a list of over 450 funding organizations, right? 450 funders. I give you that list in the course, and I just included a list of 50 companies that only give money to entrepreneurs. So yes, and unlike many instructors, right, who ask you to buy something from them and then they leave you, you have no access to them. No, I'm going to be here for you because I have a private Facebook group full of amazing students. If anybody is in that Facebook group, give yourself a shout out because it is incredible. You come into that Facebook group, and if you have questions, like maybe you want somebody to review a part of your grant application, come into the Facebook group and ask. I have professional grant writers who took the course who are in the group. Oftentimes they'll volunteer to look at your grant application. It is, you need support because I don't want you to do this alone. And on top of that, I give you 1 hour of group coaching every single month. So 1 hour with me, group coaching. We do a deep dive. You get to ask me questions because I am here to help you. Excuse me, okay? I consider myself to be a woman of faith, and I am a servant leader. So I'm here to help you and people who look like you and people who look like me. So what are we talking about in terms of the cost? I've had the course audited 3 times, and this is the value of the modules, like $3,549, $3,549 is what just the modules are worth. The introductory videos right there, they're worth almost $600. Those lists of funders, which is now 450, they're worth almost $500. And then, yes, you get planners because people, it's important to keep track when you are writing grants. So you get all of that free, the downloads, the trackers, the planners. So yes, it's valued at $5,000. And yes, the normal price is $997, but it is Women's History Month. So the price has been reduced to $497. But you decided to spend this hour and a half with me tonight. Why? Because you need funding. You came to me for help. Okay, so guess what? You're not paying $497. You're paying 50% of that. You're paying one payment of $247. People, that is it. People ask me all the time, like, Linda, okay, I got it. I can make the $247 payment a month. No, this is not a monthly payment. This is a one-time payment of $247. You're one and done. You are one and done. But because it's half off, yes, you only have 3 days to get the offer. You have 3 days, and you have to use this code, right? So when you go into the portal, you buy the course, you have to use that code to get the 50% off. Now, I'm doing something that people know I never do. I'm giving you the option to make 2 payments. So let's say you just can't do the $247. You can pay $137.50 right now. 2 payments, you pay 1 payment now, and guess what? I don't drip my course. You get the full amount, right? You get the entire course as soon as you sign up. And the course never expires. So yes, at the end of those 12 modules, you're ready. You are ready, right? And I want to hear you say this because I believe you're ready. I want you to put into the chat, I am ready to get grant money. I am ready to get this grant money. So after you complete those 12 modules, literally you have 450 funders. And yes, a lot of people go into this course and they go straight to the grant list, which is fine. You can do that, right? This is everything you get, right? I didn't even talk about the letter of inquiry, but you get all of these components, the video instruction. And yes, it is all online. It is all self-paced. Look, I'm a small business owner. I know stuff happens. You can buy a course and think you're going to start tomorrow, and life happens and you end up not starting until another week or 2 weeks. And that is okay because there's no expiration date to this course and it is self-paced. But yes, you only have 3 days to get the discount. And I want you to get the discount because I don't want you to pay the $497. A lot of people do, but you don't have to. You can literally get a 50% discount if you buy it within the next 3 days. So you have 3 days, use that code. And this is the front of the portal. If you want to pay the $497, just hit $497 and purchase. And then it's going to ask you for a coupon code. Now, if you want to make the 2 payments, you can. $137.50. You don't even need a coupon code, okay? So if you want to make the 1 payment, you put in the $497, you hit purchase, and this page will come up. And you see to the left where it says have a coupon code. You put in the coupon code, Okay. It will immediately take off $250 right away. Now, some of you want to have a one-on-one personal meeting with me to do a deep dive with your organization. I would love to do that for you. My rate is $4.95 an hour, but if you buy that hour, the Ask the Expert hour, while you're buying the course, is only $195. So it's just a discount that I provide for people who are, really ready, like you're ready to go. You buy the course, you want to speak with me one-on-one, that's $195 for the hour. But even if you don't buy that hour, you get to talk to me in the free group session, right? That is going to take place. The next one is Monday, March 27th. So when you buy the course, you have access to the private Facebook group and to the free monthly coaching. Okay. This is such a good time for you to really get in the mode of getting this money. All right. Because there are grants. What am I thinking about? The big store. There are grants by Verizon and Walmart and many other organizations. When they have grant money available, it's gone when it's gone, right? So they tell you, please apply at the beginning of the year, right? Don't wait until June and July because that money might not be there. And what I can tell you is that the George Floyd money is still available. The COVID-19 money is still available. It's available now. I can't tell you that it's going to be available in August or September. So please, whatever you do, whether you get this course or not, people, please do not be in this same situation a month from now. I don't want you to look at other people and say, how did that person get a grant? How did he get a grant? How did she get a grant? People are just look just like you and me are getting this money every single day. We know it works. I talked to you about literally the meeting where the guy walked away with $35,000, literally after an hour. After it wasn't even an hour, and it was Zoom. It wasn't even in person, right? People are getting the money. These are just a few testimonials. Farah said that last month, she's a student. She used the information. She got her mother 5 church grants. Like, you can't make this up. She got her mom 5 church grants. Reverend Smith, for you faith-based organizations, was able to get her church ministry over $35,000 by using what was outlined in the course. Kelly is just killing it. She got $75,000 for her colleague. She wrote a grant for the colleague and then turned around and got money for herself. And Brian was able to get $30,000. This is literally within like the last month or so. So people, the money is available. I'm going to go into the Q&A. I really, really, really hope you do this for yourself. I ask you, please put into the chat, I want to get this grant. I'm ready to get grant money. That's what I want to see in the chat. I'm ready. Yolanda, yes. Is it Tonacita? Oh, I bet I just butchered that. Keisha, I'm ready to get grant money. Absolutely. That's what I want you to say. Sometimes you have to speak this up into the universe. Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm ready to get grant money. All right. All right. So we are going to end the Q&A, the slide there, and then we're going to go into the actual Q&A, and I'm going to hop into the Q&A to see what questions. Yes, Veronica. Yes, Shem. Yes, Frank. Yes, Maya. It's time to get grant money. Why not? Right? Sharon, why not? Why not? People who look just like you can get this money. Okay, they're getting this money every single day. So let's go to the questions. What is the best time to apply for grants? I literally just answered that question. It is the beginning of the year. Now, just so you know, there are some organizations that have rolling applications. You can apply for grants all throughout the year, right? Oftentimes it depends on when their board of directors meet, right? So typically sometimes 3 times a year, sometimes 4 times a year, right? You can apply for a grant. But other organizations like Walmart and Verizon and others, you have to apply for that money when it is available. So you start as soon as possible. So thank you. ADL was not kidding. Okay. ADL just bought the course. ADL was not kidding. Everything is in the course. So let me tell you, when you sign up, you're going to get 3 emails. Okay. 1 email, you have to create your account. your username and your password. Once you do that, you get into your account, everything is there. The entire workbook, whatever you do, do not skip over module 1. That's the welcome. It has all of the workbooks, all of the trackers, everything in it, right? So when you sign up, email 1, username and password. Email 2 is a welcome email where you will have a link to the Facebook group, right? Email 3 is another email, okay, that will welcome you to the course. And then once I admit you to the Facebook group, it's on, right? You will also get a future email inviting you to the next group course, right? The next group session where we do a deep dive. And before I forget what I want to do, I'm going to put these 2 emails into the chat because I want you to please save these to your email safe senders list, because I want you to get the replay. I don't charge for my replay. Some people charge for the replays. No, I want you to get this information. Grant writing for non-writers.com. Make sure you put those 2 emails into your email safe senders list. Is it printable? Absolutely. When you go into the course, look, I'm trying to make this easy. I'm not trying to make this hard. I'm trying to make this easy for you. When you go into the course, everything is printable. Look, you can even download my videos. Look, everything has been, I have a copyright on everything. So yes, you can print out all of the information. Yep, absolutely. How do I obtain a board of directors? So that is such a good question. So your board, listen up, for those of you who want a board, your board should not consist of family and friends. Your board has to keep you accountable, right? They want to make sure that you are adhering to your mission statement. So your board of directors need to really be a group of people. It doesn't mean you can't know them, okay? But they should have different skills. See if you can have an attorney as a board member, an HR person, a finance person, right? So they are there to help move the organization forward. Now, in Northeast Ohio, there is a place called BVU, Board Volunteers Unlimited, where they literally help you to find board members, but utilize your contacts, right? Talk to people who maybe are at your local school or your library. Utilize people that you know and ask them, right, if they will serve. But it can't just be all family and friends, right? Because at the end of the day, they have to keep you accountable, and your family and friends may not tell you what you need to know. Okay, I've seen too many nonprofits go under because the board was filled with family and friends who didn't tell them what they needed to know. Okay. All right, so we're going to go into the chat and see if there are any other questions, and then we are going to wrap it up. Yes, Shem. Oh, hey, Shem. Shem's not playing. Okay, Shem has signed up to the course. Yes, Shem. Yes, you're ready. That's why I asked you people, right? Are you ready to get this money? This is such a small amount. Oh, and I didn't even mention, oh my goodness, it's tax deductible. The $247 or the 2 payments of $137.50 is tax deductible. You can write this off. So write it off on your taxes. Absolutely. Right. Tonacita, it sounds like you bought the course and you haven't started, which is okay. Look, that's why I make it so that there's no expiration date, because like I said, look, life happens. Okay. Yes. So Tonacita, typically I only provide the discount for the one-on-one personal hour for $195 when you buy the course, because normally I charge $495 an hour to meet with me privately to do a deep dive. But yes, I will adhere to the $195 price. So I want you to send me an email. Send an email to one of those 2 emails that I put in there so that I can get you set up with a one-on-one, because I can do a deep dive. Absolutely. I'd be happy to talk to you about that. Thank you, Ali. Thank you. Yes, we need this grant money. Okay. Maya says, looking forward to reaching new levels of business growth with your course. And absolutely. So I want to stress this because this is really important. Come into the Facebook group, ask questions. I'm here to serve as a resource for you. If you want to meet with me separately, yes, that's normally $495 an hour, right? Come into the Facebook group and ask questions. I'm in the Facebook group all the time. I lead that group session every month, I don't ask other people to lead that. I lead that, and we do a deep dive in your business. But it is a group session, just so you know. It is a group session. If you want me one-on-one, yes, I'm available. I just want to make sure you're on the right path, because you have no idea how many horror stories I hear about people being scammed when it comes to grant money. And why? Why are so many people being scammed? Because we're talking about free money. Anytime you talk about getting free money, people, those scammers come out of the cracks of the woodwork. Okay. They come out of the cracks of the woodwork. And I don't want that to happen to you, because you decided to trust me for an hour and a half to give you information that will help you. And so I'm committed. I'm committed to doing that. Okay. So let me just see if there are any more questions, because I want to make sure I answer them all before we wrap it up. Do we need board members if we aren't a nonprofit? No, you don't need board members if you aren't a nonprofit. But if you are not a nonprofit, I'm going to recommend that you at least have an advisory board. Please don't do this alone. That is, and I want everybody to hear me. There's 37 people up. Hear me. Don't do this alone. Don't do this alone. Get help. Ask questions. Okay. An advisory board is going to help you determine your direction. And if you are moving in the right direction, if you buy the course, I'm going to help you do that too, because oftentimes people ask me questions in the group session that really doesn't always have to do with grants, because I've been in business for 15 years. I'm here to help you. I'll give you a great example. A young lady had a product. She's a student. She had a product that she has a patent on, and she's trying to bring her product to the manufacturing stage. Well, I happen to know the queen of QVC, right? She's a Shark Tank consultant. She has created many products on QVC, HSN. She's Black. And so I connected the two, right? Because oftentimes you have questions that's a little bit beyond just grant. And like I said, I'm here to help, right? I'm here to serve you. So, and that's okay. I'm okay with that, because I figured if I've been in business 15 years, I need to share as much of that information as I can that is going to help you, especially people that look like you. Shouldn't we, because I'm going to go to the questions now. Shouldn't we, Bart, if you could just please put again, people are asking for the link. If you could put the link, okay, the link. Oh, I have some. That's okay. That's okay if you have questions. Pierre is ready. Everybody, Pierre is ready. Pierre got the course. He's ready. He is ready to get this grant money. That's what I'm talking about. All right. So let me just finish the Q&A and see if there are any other questions. I'm going to go through here. All right. All right. Tony, see, when I'm done, I'm going to look up your account. Maya, thank you. Yes, Maya, many banks have community foundations or initiatives. I'm telling you, don't sleep on banks. I have worked with banks to get grant money for for-profit organizations. So please don't think because you're for-profit, you can't get grant money, free money from a bank. All right. So Maya is saying the quicker way to get information about the government grants is you want to sign up to grants.gov. You can do that. Much needed information. Yes, make that wheel squeak. Yes. All right, so let me just scroll down here and see. So, excuse me, Maya is putting some really good information. She's saying if anyone is in Maryland, there's a business incubator that helps entrepreneurs and that they will build websites for free. So look, anybody that has information that can help somebody else, put it into the chat. I'm all about you all helping each other, right? So the spotlight isn't on me. I want you to flourish, right? So if you have information that you can put in the chat to help everybody else, please do so. All right, I think that's it. I don't see any other questions in the chat. So for a homeless shelter, how many board members should I have? Oh, Sherry, that's such a good question. So in order to meet and vote as a board, you need a quorum, right? And so that's different in every single state. That is based on the state. So I think in Ohio, you need 5 people. Like in Wyoming, you only need 3 people. So it depends on your state. Okay. So you need to do some research and find out in your state how many people you need to have as board members, because there is a certain number. Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to quickly go back to the Q&A. I think we are done. Look, everybody, I am hoping to see you in the Facebook group. I hope to see you Monday, March 27th in the group coaching session where we can do a deep dive, right? And you could ask questions, right, about your organization. Again, I'm here to help you. And so the Facebook group, you'll be admitted tonight. All right. And so the replay, right? The replay is free. Please put those 2 email addresses in your safe senders list, because I do not want you to miss out on the replay. Okay. So Ali is saying, can I catch your next webinar too? So I'm glad you mentioned that. So wait, is it next week? It is next week. I travel a lot, right? So I'm going out of town the last week of March. So next week, okay, I'm doing 4 webinars. 2 are geared for women-owned businesses, and the other 2 are geared toward Black-owned businesses. So I'm going to quickly put this information into the chat, and you can register for any of these webinars. So lepav.com, that is my business website. And then just go click under upcoming webinars, and it will take you to the page where you can register. So next week, 2 live webinars for women-owned businesses and 2 live webinars for Black-owned businesses. So get all the information you can. That is fine. Okay. Oh, so after you buy the course, you don't have to buy the success kit. So those of you, so I have $1 million grant roadmap that I think a lot of you bought. Let me just say a couple of words about that. That is such a phenomenal resource, because whether or not you get that course, those 10 steps are the 10 steps that I follow to be able to write successful grants. So wherever you are in the grant writing process, go back to that $1 million grant roadmap, okay, to make absolutely sure that you are in one of those 10 steps. So whether you buy the course or not, whether you buy the success kit or not, that $1 million grant roadmap, those 10 steps, you should always be on one of those 10 steps. Okay. So it's just a nice little document, and literally it's like $5. It's almost like a giveaway, right? $5. And it's just like this little roadmap, and you just need to make sure you're following along those 10 steps. So that's great. Now the success kit really focuses on finding the perfect funder and budgets. Okay, so if you really want to do a deep dive on finding the perfect funder and then a deep dive on budgets, you can get the success kit. Certainly, I think that's like $47, but the course is everything from soup to nuts, right? It's teaching you how to write that grant application. And then those other 2 pieces are just ancillary pieces, right? So you can have them all and benefit from them all. The $1 million grant roadmap, the success kit, and the course. Some of you have them all, so you can benefit from every one of them. All right. So I think I am done. I'm wrapping it up. I want to thank you so much. You have 3 days, right? You have 3 days to buy the course. I am hoping I see you in the Facebook group, because people, as I mentioned, whatever you do, don't be in the same place a week from now, not knowing where grants are, not knowing how to get grants for Black organizations, not knowing if there are grants for Black organizations. There are millions that I want to teach you to know how to get it. All right. So thank you so much. Again, I'm Linda Peavy. I'm the founder of LaPav Consulting, LLC, and I'm the creator of the grant writing course, Grant Writing for Non-Writers, Keys to Winning Grant Proposals. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining me tonight. I hope you have a blessed and peaceful and safe and prosperous evening. And hopefully I will see you in the Facebook group and also in the course. So everybody, be safe, be well. And what are we going to do? We're going to get the money tree in 2023. Bye-bye.